Good morning. If you're new here, my name is Krista. I empower people to overcome codependency. And today we're doing a daily coaching tip. And this is very general. We're going to get a topic from the wisdom of the oracle. What is our topic for today? It's been an interesting week of coaching tips. I like it. It's all about growth and getting outside the box and loving yourself and relying on the wisdom of others to expedite the process. It's beautiful. So let's see what our wrap up for this week is. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Between worlds. All right. That makes sense. Between worlds, because when you're going through this process of change and transformation, growth and pursuing your passions, there's that in between phase that can be very uncomfortable, especially when sometimes it feels like you know you're on the right path and yet you keep getting obstacle after obstacle. And talked about this a little bit last week, but generally speaking, you are on the right path, and the obstacles you're encountering are fine-tuning you for where your destination is, your desired destination. Because especially if this thing that you desire is big, and you should dream big, there's probably going to be some things you need to pick up on the way so that when you get to where you want to be, you're successful there and it sticks and you get to have this thing that you've desired. And yesterday we talked about wisdom and leaning on other people's wisdom to expedite the process, because there is someone on this planet who's been through what you're going through and already has the answers. So instead of struggling and looking and searching for them for yourself, you know, it's that, what is the technique that you used? What worked for you? And then instead of spending all that time with your own research, they can lay it out for you step by step, and boom, you're past that obstacle. All right, between worlds, transitions. Not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another. Temporary blindness, no man's land. And that's how it can feel. Between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place, between what was and what will be, is a state of making and unmaking and making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is a great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness, greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing the rainbow for the first time. Do so, and you will not be disappointed. And again, I love how these always tend to play together. But you can see in the between worlds, it's gray and then blue. Because you're coming from this place that it no longer works for you, no longer suits you, it no longer fits you. And as you're transforming into that version of you on the blue side, there's that in-between time that can be so uncomfortable because of the uncertainty, because of not feeling stable and grounded, not knowing. And we like to know, we like to have certainty when it's a big decision. I mean, on Christmas, you don't want to have certainty about what presents are under the tree. Surprises are nice. Some uncertainty is fun. Spontaneity is fun. But when we're talking about your income, your home, your vehicle, there are some things that we like to be certain about. And when we're going through a major transition, and I know earlier in the week we were talking about transitioning careers, turning a side hustle into a main gig. And that's a situation that is really, really works as an analogy for today's topic, that between worlds feeling, when you eventually have to cut the cord to the old. But the new hasn't really settled in yet. So you're in this floating phase in between where everything feels uncertain. And it's easy to get into a negative mindset, let the fear set in, let the anxiety set in. And our guidance for today is, again, the gratitude. Stay in an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful that you have this opportunity. Be grateful for what you're learning on the path. Be grateful for the growth that you're achieving through this activity. And we talked about wisdom. You're gaining wisdom along the way. And regardless of the outcome, you can't go to college and get the kind of wisdom you get from taking a leap of faith to go outside the box, to follow your dreams. It's not a failure. If the outcome isn't what you expected, it's not a failure. And keeping that attitude of gratitude and the expectation of positive things coming into your life and the idea or concept that life is happening for you, trust in that higher knowing, that intuition, that if it's not what you expected, it's going to be something even better. Because when we anticipate good things and we release our attachment to the outcome of a situation being exactly what we wanted, what we envisioned, it can be so much better. Or we may put all this time, energy, focus, and effort going in this direction, and at the last minute, it completely veers off somewhere else. But this ends up being something much better. However, we wouldn't have the skills we needed for this if we hadn't been through this. So trusting the process and trusting that the events that are happening in our lives are leading us to something better. What happens sometimes, though, is like when we reach a certain obstacle, because I think it was Monday, we were talking about fears and being stuck and not being able to move forward. And we get to a situation where we're so afraid of the uncertainty that lies beyond it that we don't move. And when we don't move out of this gray area, that stagnation, especially if you're in a negative situation that's taking a toll emotionally, it can cause physical illness. I've been there, done that. Ironically, I was told that this illness was progressive, chronic. There was no way to treat it, heal it. I would just have to deal with it. And I was told to go on disability. I was over here. And I was struggling with letting go of this to move forward. And as long as I stayed here, nothing changed other than I kept getting worse. Looking back, I realized that the universe was like, will you freaking go already? Because when I made the decision, and it was not well thought out. By that point, I was absolutely miserable. I was over it, and I basically napalmed my life. And I made the decision on a random July night at 2 a.m. I was sitting on my back porch staring at the moon. I couldn't sleep. I was feeling horrible, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to change it all. And it was a process, that in between worlds. And going from here to here was a lot of growth, a lot of challenge, and an amazing outcome. So having that trust when we're in this in-between worlds area where we've started to walk away from one thing and go into something else, and there's just nothing has grounded yet. Everything feels so up in the air. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where you're going to end up. Trust that you are being protected. Trust that there is guidance available to you. Ask your guides, angels, God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in, for guidance, for signs. And you will be amazed when you stay in that attitude of gratitude, with that expectation that life is happening for you and not to you. When the challenges and obstacles come, you seek the wisdom to overcome them rapidly instead of just sitting and staring at them and trying to figure them out on your own. There are people who walk this path before you. They know the way. Ask them. They can give you the step by step so you don't have to go through and figure out everything that goes into that step by step that made it so easy for them to transition. But they had to spend the time figuring out the steps to make it easy. But that will get you through that in-between time in a much more secure way, maintaining your positive vibration, maintaining your attitude of gratitude, your hope, your knowledge that life is happening for you, and that honestly, God, Spirit, Universe, they do their best work in the 11th hour when you just don't see any possible options, when you can't think of what could possibly come in now. Boom, there it is. But you have to keep that expectation. Stay open. Because if you slip into that lower vibration of doubt and fear and anxiety, you're not present to see at the 11th hour when that opportunity pops up. You might miss it. So just know that space in between, it's necessary. We have to build certain qualities in that in-between space that are going to serve us in where we're going. Trust the process, trust yourself. It's going to be good. I hope this helps. Thank you for joining me. I will talk to you soon. Love and light. Hey, would you describe yourself as a people pleaser? Do you have trouble setting boundaries? Do you just feel exhausted from taking care of everything and everyone around you and feel like you always come last? Have you just been kind of going through the day-to-day motions, but you're not really living? There's just no passion, there's no adventure, no fun in your life anymore? Then this is the offer for you. If you'd like to make 2023 the year you become unfuckwithable, and just for fun, I've got the definition here, when you are truly at peace and in touch with yourself and nothing anyone says, does, or thinks can bother you. Meaning that you are so firm in your power and so certain in who you are that no outside influence can deter you from living the life that you truly desire and deserve. And if that sounds like the way you'd like to live, click on the link below to get more information on how you can make 2023 the year you become unfuckwithable and start living the rest of your life as the best of your life.